Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Mind Muscle Connection podcast. Today is a solo episode, and I want to dive into a topic, and that topic is 6 supplements that I recommend to all clients. It's like a baseline for body composition, and so I'll dive into what those are. But first, before I dive into that, just want to go over a few ways you can help support the podcast. So first, if you found this podcast to be helpful in any way, if you could leave a rating and review, and that will help more people find this podcast. Next, I have my free masterclass on body recomp, what it is, how to do it. And then I also have my free masterclass on nutrition periodization. So going over different phases, building phase, fat loss phase, I'll dive into adjustments, what your macros need to be, etc. Both of those will be in the show notes. And then lastly, if you don't, give me a follow on Instagram, Jeff, HOEHN _, and that's where I'm most active on social media. If you have any questions for me, I'm just one DM away. You can reach out to me there and I'll get to your question. With that out of the way, let's dive into today's topic. So I want to chat with you about 6 supplements I recommend to clients for improvement in body composition, right? So this is like the baseline of supplements here. So real quick, before I dive into supplements, I think it's important to note that supplements fall very low on the priority list when it comes to body composition and improving that. But the most factors are going to be weight training, right? Making sure you're lifting weights, movement, your cardio and steps, your nutrition, right? The quality of it, your macros, energy balance, etc. Lifestyle, right? Again, your sleep, environment, stress management, etc. And your mindset, right? So how you handle setbacks, all or nothing thinking, etc. Those are the pillars of a body recomp, and they're high on the list. They're higher on the list. And then supplements fall underneath this. They can help. They can help with your nutrition. They can help you give you more energy. They can help with stress management. They can help with sleep, right? So they do indirectly impact all these things. But at the end of the day, they're not going to make or break that. Again, what you do, the lifestyle, your mindset, like those are going to be bigger things that you can manage there with that. None of these supplements are going to be earth shattering or life changing by itself. Again, they're going to be great to supplement with a good weight training routine, movement, nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset. I think that's the most important thing here. None of these are going to be, like I said, life changing or anything like that. As I go through these, I will give you the ones that I like personally, but understand then that there's a lot of many other great supplement brands out there. So again, it's not like you have to do those ones or anything like that. And then lastly, it's important to check with a medical professional to make sure your supplement is safe for you. So your doctor or anything like that, we definitely just want to double check there with that. So let's dive into it. So my number one on the list is going to be creatine monohydrate. So creatine has been shown to increase strength and power, which can in turn lead to muscle growth, right? Because if you think about it, if you can increase your strength, you can increase your power, like over time, that's going to add more muscle. It's not going to be something that you're going to take and you're going to immediately see its impact, right? It's going to be something that you do need to take for extended periods of time so it can saturate in your muscles, and that's when it starts to work. And again, it's not going to be something where it's like, oh, hey, I'm getting 30 plus pounds compared to what I was, and I'm getting 10 plus reps more. No, it's going to be very subtle changes. But again, over time, that can be helpful. Now, in saying that, creatine obviously is going to help with that, which can in turn help you build muscle, but it may have some benefits outside as well too. One of them being recovery and potentially some cognitive benefits as well too. And it is safe for everyone, and it's an extremely low risk, high reward, low cost supplement. So it's really a no brainer for most. Some people are more responders than others. And that really just comes down to your diet's going to play a big role in that. Meat is going to have some creatine in it. So if you generally eat more meat, maybe creatine won't be as effective for you. Genetics are going to play a role in that. So some people do respond better to creatine than others, but because it's low risk, it's not super high cost, it's pretty much a no-brainer. You're not going to know there's not going to be anything out there that's going to be like, hey, you should take it or you shouldn't, right? This is why it's a baseline supplement. And then again, there's those other potential benefits of taking creatine as well too. But again, remember, you need to take it regularly, and don't just take it before a workout and then don't take it for 3 days and then take it again. Like, you need to take it daily. So I always tell clients the best thing you can do here is take it whatever's going to keep you most consistent from day to day. About 5 milligrams. I think it's 5 grams. Yeah, I think 5 grams, not milligrams. 5 grams is the typical dose. Again, if you find that you get some GI distress from that, then maybe you decrease it a little bit, or maybe you're somebody who gets a good amount of meat in, maybe you can decrease it a little bit. The bigger you are, you might have to have a little bit more. On the smaller you are, you can maybe get away with a little bit less. So people that I think would really benefit from creatine are going to be people who limit animal protein in their diet. And then if you're older, right? Older being, what is older? I think, again, this isn't old by any means, but I think 40s, 50s, and beyond is when you'd want to start. Those would be the populations that I would be like, hey, I think it's a no-brainer for you to take this. It's been studied a dozen times, way more than a dozen times, hundreds of times, And there's really no downside to it other than if you start to take high doses of it, then that's where maybe you see some distress and whatnot. There's, oh, hey, should you load it? Should you take 20 grams to load it in? And I don't think you need to do that. I don't recommend anybody do that. And if anything, that may lead to some GI distress there. So no need to load it. It's really safe at any time. And I guess one other population that I would also really recommend it to would be women in general. I think that they would benefit extra from creatine as well too. The one kind of downside with it potentially is it in some people, it can increase water weight. So for some people, they see that uptick in the scale and it gets to them mentally. But again, remember, that's not fat mass or anything like that. It's just more water to your muscle, which is a good thing. It's going to help your muscles look fuller, if anything, versus having that depleted look there. Safe to take during a fat loss phase. If anything, you'd want to continue to take it during a fat loss phase. So just be consistent. You don't need to cycle off of it. You can take it all year round. I take it all year round. I personally use Body Tech creatine monohydrate. It's just the one that cost effective. I can get a pretty big tub on Amazon. And so I just take that. Other forms of creatine, I don't even know where they're at now at this point in terms of what the other forms of creatine are, but I just don't bother with them because in the research they use creatine monohydrate and that's the one that is most effective. It's the most cost effective. So just stick to monohydrate. You don't need to do any of the other creatines that they talk about, right? Even if someone's, oh, hey, if you take this, it's like more absorbable or anything like that. No, again, it's creatine monohydrate's fine and it's going to be more than enough. And if anything, people are just trying to sell you something that you don't need if they tell you to get something else. So again, creatine's high on the list there. Number 2, whey protein. Again, we know that sometimes protein can be challenging to get through food all the time. Maybe you're in a rush, whatever it may be. So supplementing with some sort of whey protein, it can be casein too. It doesn't have to just be whey protein, but any type of protein powder. It can even be plant-based, right? Usually when you're looking for plant-based powders, something like a rice and pea blend, again, with this particular thing, I'm going to look this up here right now, but with it, let me see here. Let me pull up my notes. Again, we know that here, I'm gonna look at the plant protein. When we're doing the plant protein, look for like pea protein isolate, whey protein. Those would be some combinations there. If it's just soy, maybe you can get a little bit of a better quality protein. Again, I'm biased towards Legion, but Legion's plant protein would be what I recommend. Their whey protein as well too. So those would be that would be the brand. But again, there's a ton of other brands out there that you can use to get your protein. And this is just the one that I recommend and what I like best. And again, the protein one, the plant one is going to be super helpful, right? Because it is that high quality of pea and rice protein there with that. But again, whey protein, it's not going to be a magic supplement, just like I talked about initially. It's just going to be there to help you get your protein numbers in. I think a lot of people hear, oh, I want to build muscle, so I need to get protein powder because it's going to help me like build muscles. It's not the protein powder that's going to help you build muscle. It's the fact that it's helping you get more protein in because you don't get enough protein in through food. So again, that's where protein the shines for that reason. Again, it can be challenging to get it in. That's what I use protein powder for. Again, you don't need to use it at any specific time. You don't have to use it post workout. You can just use it to help you hit your protein goal for the day there with that. So whey protein is another one. Number 3, magnesium glycinate. So more than half of adults may not meet the recommended daily intake of magnesium. Not to mention magnesium tends to be depleted under higher stress conditions, right? So someone who's, again, they have kids, full-time job, a lot of other life responsibilities. They're also really work out super hard. Like they're going to deplete their magnesium status quicker than somebody else. So again, a need to make sure that we're not getting enough in through our diet. It's hard to get in through your diet. And then 2, certain people will deplete their magnesium quicker. So again, to me, it's a baseline supplement for all my clients and it's relatively cheap. Supplementing with magnesium has been shown to reduce blood glucose, improve insulin sensitivity, lower blood pressure, improve sleep, reduce frequency, intensity of migraines, and lower symptoms of PMS. I personally like magnesium glycinate, as this is probably the best for sleep as well too. So taking it before sleep, it's my most recommended, but citrate, malate, threonate, and tartrate are all solid options as well too. Just be careful with magnesium oxide, as that one tend to be the least and absorbable. So we want to make sure that we get one of those ones I mentioned. Citrate may be something that has a little bit of a laxative effect as well too. Just pay attention to that. If you're somebody who's constipated, maybe a citrate would be a solid option for you. But if you're somebody who goes regularly, again, maybe we're going to switch to glycinate or something like that. Or again, maybe you struggle with sleep. Again, glycinate would be solid there. Again, magnesium is a supplement that I recommend to all clients as a baseline. Number 4, vitamin D. The main benefits of supplementation here are improved immune health, bone health, and well-being. Again, the sun is a major source of vitamin D, but it is found in some foods. Again, If it's the winter time, you don't get a lot of sun, this would be a great time to supplement with vitamin D. If your levels are low, that would be a great time to supplement with vitamin D. Again, in the winter, like I mentioned, if you're feeling like those winter blues, you may want to look at one, getting outside when you can, but supplementing with vitamin D there with that. And again, it can also help with bone health and immune health as well. There is some thought that you do need to take this with K2, vitamin K2 as well. So you may want to look into that. But like I said, during times of minimal sunlight, winter especially, it may be wise to supplement with vitamin D. I would recommend looking at your blood work to make sure your vitamin D levels are not too high, because too much vitamin D can lead to toxicity. And saying that, most people's probably aren't too high, but just as a safety net, if you're going to take high doses of vitamin D, you should get it checked out, because it can lead to toxicity. So definitely getting that checked out. As a baseline, I think 1,000 IUs is fine. In the winter, maybe closer to 2, potentially higher, again, just depending on where you're at in terms of your blood work. But for myself, I will do 2,000 to 3,000 IU in the winter, and then I don't really take it in the summer. I usually hit or miss with it over the summer because I am outside, or at least I try to get outside. So I do it less in the summer, but in the winter, I'm taking about 2,000 to 3,000 IUs there with that. I like to use Now brand. I think that's totally fine. It's easy to get on Amazon. Same thing with magnesium. I use the Now brand as well too. For that, I forgot to go over. And for that, I just do one serving size. I believe the serving size for magnesium is about 200 milligrams, whatever it is. I take 2 pills of that, and I'm pretty sure, let me look this up just to make sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it is maybe 400 milligrams. Yep, it's 200 milligrams is what I take there with that. So again, vitamin D, magnesium, solid. Again, with vitamin D, potentially look at taking vitamin K2 as well. All right, and then we go on to number 5, and that's going to be fish oil. So supplementing with fish oil can reduce triglyceride levels, may lower inflammation, support heart health, support healthy brain function as well too. And it's especially helpful if you don't consume much fish in your diet. We do want to make sure that if you don't get fish in at least 1 to 2 times per week, you probably want to make sure you get some fish oil in. Most diets are high in omega-6s and low in omega-3, so we want to change that ratio, right? And one way to do that is by taking fish oil. Again, it can help lower inflammation, help with heart health, as well as brain function as well too. There with that. Some tips. Again, I like to use Legion's fish oil. Biggest reason is it has 4,000 milligrams of fish oil and then 1,440 milligrams of EPA and 950 milligrams of DHA. If you look at most fish oils that you get off of like Amazon, they're going to be pretty low in that. So with this, we want to make sure that it has that amount in there. So that's why I'm a big fan of Legion's fish oil there. With that, I take it daily, just really when I remember, whatever time of day I remember, try to take it consistently in the morning. Again, I would get into a good regimen here. Days that I do have fish or fatty fish like salmon, I don't take it because again, I'm getting it through fish that day. So again, any days I'm having more fish, I don't take it, but otherwise I'm taking it every single day there with that. And then lastly, number 6, we have multivitamin. So think of these as a good base to ensure you aren't low on any of the main vitamins and minerals. It's not going to replace a diet low in vitamins and minerals. Improving that is going to be high on the priority list, right? Improving your overall diet, number 1 there. But again, supplementing with this just to ensure you're not missing out on anything is super key, especially like in a fat loss phase. Somebody, I think it was Greg Potter, I had him on a podcast episode. He talked to me about, if anything, when you're in a surplus or maintenance, it might be a time to supplement as well too, because you're more likely to eat more like processed type foods during that period of time. And I thought that was good advice too. It's probably a safe thing to take all the time. Again, I take Legion's Triumph men's multivitamin. Again, men, women, they have both. Obviously, take what you want there. With that, I do half a serving per day, just because again, I make sure I get my veggies and I make sure I eat mostly whole foods. Obviously have some flexibility in there, but I take half versus taking the full, again, just to save some money there on that. Yeah, that was number 6. And again, I think a multivitamin is just a safe kind of safety net there to make sure you're not missing out on any of your B vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, any of those, right? It also has other micronutrients in there as well too. Some iron, some selenium. I believe there's some selenium. Let me check on this. Just go over what's in it, just so you have an idea. Yeah, in the men's one specifically, vitamin A, vitamin C, a little bit of vitamin D. So again, that would be something that you would want to look at, right? If you take vitamin D, but then you look and it also has vitamin D in your multivitamin, like you would want to look into that, right? To make sure you're not like overdoing. And this is again where looking at your blood work can be super helpful. It does have some vitamin K2 in it, your B vitamins, biotin. It does have some magnesium as well, right? So again, this would be something you don't want to look at. It has some zinc in it, selenium, chromium, iodine, sorry, it came up, potassium, a little bit of ashwagandha, CoQ10. So all these things and things that would be helpful for men, right? So pumpkin seed extract supports prostate health, right? And then from the women's perspective, let's just pull that one up real quick. So for example, they have chasteberry in the women's, which alleviates some of the side effects caused by menstruation. Tribulus terrestris supports female sexual health and being. It's got maca in it, which improves sexual function and libido in both men and women. So again, there's going to be a small kind of change from the female one to the male one, but just to give you some ideas what's in this multivitamin there with that. Again, I would say it's going to be a base, right? It doesn't substitute a good diet, but it can give you a good base to make sure that you're not overlooking anything there with that. That was it for this episode. Again, just to sum it up, supplements fall low on the priority list. Again, weight training, movement, nutrition, lifestyle, and your mindset are going to be higher on the priority list. From there, what are the supplements I recommend? Creatine monohydrate, whey protein, magnesium glycinate, vitamin D, fish oil, and multi. This is the base. From there, we may add in other types of supplements from time to time, depending on what they need. For example, for myself, I do take a pre-workout. I use a stem-free one just because I don't want the caffeine in it. But again, that's not like one that I'm like, hey, you would need to have this as a baseline supplement there with that. But there are still other supplements that we take, but this would be like the baseline. Also, I take some ashwagandha from time to time as well too. And as you found out, there is some in the multivitamin. So I'm actually taking more often than I thought there with that. Again, I think as far as like the timing goes, for creatine, I take it when I can stay consistent. Whey protein, I use it when I need it, usually daily though in the morning. Magnesium glycinate, I take before bed. Vitamin D, I take before bed. Fish oil, again, I take ideally in the morning, but sometimes it's random. And then a multivitamin, I usually take in the morning as well too. But I would say the only thing that timing is really important for would maybe be the magnesium glycinate, because it could be something that helps with sleep. But otherwise, you can really take the rest of this stuff whenever it fits as well. But that's it for this episode. If you have questions on what specific supplements to use for you, or maybe you are wondering what phase of training you need to be in, what nutrition phase you need to be in, what your macros need to be, how to keep your hunger at bay, how many sets to do, if these are all questions you have, then that's what I use my free 30-minute strategy call for. We see where you're at, see how we can get you to where you want to go, and then we go from there. So if you're interested in that, the link is in the show notes to set that up. If you have any other questions, just send me a DM on Instagram and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So that's it for this episode. I will talk to you guys next time.